자, 내가 보여줄게. 보고 따라해봐. 아니야. 인사할 땐 살짝만 숙이면 돼. 아직도 너무 많이 숙였어. 그 정도가 딱 좋아. 안녕.
빌리 안녕. 키캣 안녕.
키캣 잘했어. 이제 인사 잘하네.
안녕 키캣.
그래, 잘했어. 잘하네. 안녕. Welcome back. Today we're going to be learning about one form that can be used with several different verbs, including the verbs 가다 and 오다. And while this lesson is completely fine for beginners, if you're an intermediate learner, don't worry. This will be useful to you as well. So the form we're going to be learning about today is 고. But Billy, I can hear you say, I already know how to use 고, and it just means and, right? To which I'll reply, yes, but there's more to it, especially when it's used with action verbs, and when it's followed by a motion verb, such as 가다, meaning to go, 오다, meaning to come, and more. So let's break it down. First, here's a quick reminder of how 고 works. 철수는 친절하고 똑똑해요. 철수 is kind and smart. So yes, it means and, but the meaning can change a bit when it's used with an action verb. When used with an action verb, the form 고 can mean either and, or it can mean and then. For example, 한국 드라마를 많이 좋아하고 자주 봐요. I like Korean dramas a lot, and I watch them often. Here it's used with the action verb 좋아하다, meaning to like. And again, it simply means and. But what about this sentence? 오늘은 공부를 하고 낮잠을 잤어요. This sentence can mean one of two things in English. It can either mean, today I studied and took a nap, or it can also mean, today I studied and then, meaning after studying, I took a nap. So whenever 고 is used with an action verb, it can mean either and or and then. Also note that you don't need to add any tense before using 고. It's simply 하고 and not 했고 or anything else. Even though the sentence uses the past tense, you only need to add the past tense form at the end of the sentence. It's not wrong to add it, but it's rarely necessary to emphasize the tense. So moving on, now that we understand how 고 can be used to mean both and then when used with an action verb stem, let's see what happens when we follow it with a motion verb. For example, 가다 just means to go. So this form would mean some action happens and then someone goes somewhere, right? Exactly. This is literally all this form means. And here's another one. 오다 means to come, so this form means that some action happens and then someone comes here. Again, using the 고 form with an action verb stem and then adding a verb that shows motion simply means that someone does something and then goes somewhere. But then why am I even teaching you this form? Well, it's because of the way that Koreans express things differently than we do in English. For example, take this English expression. I went to the store and bought cheese. When we say something like, I went and did something in English, we usually mean that we eventually finished doing that and then came back. This sentence might be said while at home when explaining to a family member where you were. We didn't just buy cheese, we also came back home. So it works to explain the reason why we were gone. Here's another short example. 영화를 보러 가세요. Go watch a movie. Imagine that you said this sentence to an older friend who wants to see a new movie. The sentence is fine, but it might not be the exact nuance that you want. If you want the friend to simply leave and go see a movie, then you don't have to change anything. However, if you meant that you wanted the friend to see you again after they've finished watching the movie, then instead try saying this. 영화를 보고 오세요. Go watch a movie and then come back here. This form is useful to know because this nuance isn't conveyed in most English sentences. So, to summarize, if you want to go somewhere after doing something, use one of these forms, either with 가다 or 오다. In fact, you may have recognized that this is the same form used in the verbs 가지고 가다 and 가지고 오다, meaning to take or to bring something, as well as the verbs 데리고 가다 and 데리고 오다, meaning the same thing but for taking or bringing a person. These also have the same literal meaning. 가지고 가다 means to take something and then go somewhere with it. And I'll link to another video on my channel about several of these verbs in the video description box. So let's go back to the main lesson today and look at a few examples. 회사에서 일했어요. I worked at the company. This sentence is fine, but there's another way we can also express this. 회사에서 일하고 왔어요. This isn't necessarily better than the other sentence, it just now has a different nuance. It doesn't only mean that we worked, but it also means that you went to work at the company and are now here. Using this sentence is kind of like saying, before I came here, I was working. In fact, before can often be a good way to translate 고. Here's another. 이미 점심을 먹었어요. I already ate lunch. Again, this sentence is fine and simply means that you ate. It doesn't matter where you ate, and it doesn't matter when you ate. 이미 점심을 먹고 왔어요. I already ate lunch before coming here. This sentence also translates the same way, but has a different nuance. It means that you ate somewhere else before you arrived, and it expresses that you just ate lunch recently, not simply that you just ate, since it means that you ate sometime before coming here. There's also a common expression you'll hear in Korea that uses this same form. 드시고 가세요? Are you eating and then leaving? That's the literal translation of this sentence, but a more natural way to translate is this for here or to go? To reply, you can simply say yes, or you can say something like this. 네, 여기서 먹을 거예요. Yes, I will eat here. This is basically saying for here. Or if you're getting the order to go, you could instead say 포장해 주세요. Please wrap it up. And this is basically, can I get it to go? Here's one more example. 숙제를 먼저 하고 가. Do your homework first and then go. This might be a sentence a parent could say to their child who's asking to go out to play. Another common use for this form is with the verb 타다, meaning to ride on a method of transportation, such as the bus or a subway. Although the literal meaning of this form is the same, you can use it to say how you traveled somewhere or how you arrived. Here's an example. 지하철을 탔어요. I took the subway. This simply means you took a subway, but doesn't explain where you went or where you are. 지하철을 타고 갔어요. I took the subway and went somewhere. More naturally, you can just say, I took the subway there. This sentence can be used to explain how you arrived somewhere. I'll give you another tip. If it helps to understand the nuance better, try to look at these sentences without the original action verb. For example, instead of worrying about how 탔어요 or 타고 갔어요 are different, instead look at the sentences like this. 지하철을 탔어요 versus 갔어요. This might help you see the nuance difference between the two sentences. The first one is simply talking about taking the subway, while the second one is more about going somewhere. Simply adding that you took the subway just gives more information about how you got there. But before we go, 가다 and 오다 aren't the only options to use for motion verbs, but they are often the most common. You could also use other verbs that show motion, such as other verbs that also end with 가다 and 오다. The concept is the same. Here are a couple more examples. 문을 열고 나갔어요. I opened the door before I left. Or just, I opened the door and left. 우산을 쓰고 걸어왔어요. I walked here with an umbrella. Literally, this means I used an umbrella and walked here. Before we go, I want to point out that this form is different from using 가다 and 오다 after an action verb that's been conjugated. For example, 하다 in that form could also become 해 가다 or 해 오다. I'll also put a link to a video in the description box about how to use that form. And that's all for today. You can also learn even more about this topic in the extended PDF version of this lesson, which is available to download for free on my website. Thanks for watching. And remember that new videos are posted here every single week, so if you like what you see, click subscribe. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 됐어, 키캣. 이제 완벽하게 배운 것 같아. 키캣 그만해. 인사를 대체 몇 번을 하는 거야?
아, 허리가 좀 아픈데.
미안해. 얘가 아직 배우는 중이라.